Greetings gamers, Agent SN. Welcome to Agent Reacts. Today I'm going to be doing my first non-SMG4 and non-glitch reaction. As I'm reacting to Cloud Gaming Scott the Waz. I'm very excited for this as I love Scott the Waz. He's my favorite YouTuber of all time. And if you watch my main channel, you probably know that. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Hello, I come from a time in which the term "Hey all Scott here" is banned. Cloud gaming has taken over. Millions are better off because of it. Companies are less wasteful with their products. But I want a box with Mario on it, damn it, so we have to stop this!
Modern gaming.
Something stinks!
The cool thing to do when you're 24 is to act 40. Isn't this so much better? Everybody misses the good old days. Just ask Nixon.
True.
Man, remember when things were worse? I miss that. You just always look at things from your youth with more affection. Honestly, for anybody saying that this new game is worse than this old game from back in the day because it lacks the magic that one had, is that because you played that game as a kid and you always have better memories of it, so no matter what this newer one does, it'll never be better in your eyes? Or is it actually because that new thing is of lower quality? In some cases, yes. But no matter where the video game industry goes in the future, it's hard for people to evolve their taste and accept that this is just how things are now.
Yeah.
When the Xbox One was initially revealed in 2013 to require an internet connection to function properly, guess who was pissed? I can't recall a single person defending Microsoft here. The idea your video game console needed to have an internet connection for single-player games was preposterous. Now it's a footnote. What people were once enraged about with video games have slowly evolved into something you just come to expect. I mean, Nintendo once said they thought online multiplayer was a scam. Downloadable content? No! And now some of Nintendo's games completely depend on online multiplayer and DLC. Companies change, and that's fine. New ideas can be scary, and when they do come with legitimate downsides, it's hard to move on. What's next on the chopping block for video games? Well, corporations hate physical media. They want us all to move to digital, trying to make physical as less appealing as possible. I think they've been spitting in my games. They control everything with the digital copy of the game, and you can't easily return or trade that in. You don't have to produce and ship the games. It's everything they've ever wanted in a 400 gigabyte file. Yikes! I mean, my god, they've been releasing digital-only consoles with no means of playing discs, and they only have this much storage? Games take up so much space and require such powerful hardware that's so expensive and requires a TV. You don't have that with movies. At this point, you just need a TV. So what if I could play a game like a movie on Netflix or play a song on Spotify? I don't download it. I stream it through the internet. It's the perfect idea.
I would like to introduce the future of gaming. Game streaming is an obvious step to take. I mean, pretty much all of the forms of entertainment are consumed via streaming, so naturally, Wario's next. I'm not opposed to the future, I'm just scared shitless about it. Gaming isn't like other mediums. It's honestly the most unique, so you can't really take what's happening with movies and music and apply it to video games. It may make sense on paper, but it's way more complicated than that. You can't ask a dog to fit into a cage too small for it, or ask a cat to be perfectly streamable online without any latency or lag.
So, what is game streaming? You've come to the right place.
Gaming.
So you play a video game on your PlayStation 2. That entire game is included on the disc you bought and was built to run on the console's hardware. Makes sense? This is what the guy at Best Buy said. The problem is, as the years go by, the hardware ages more and more. There's more impressive technology being pumped out. And while new games come out for these old systems and they look better than last year's games, that's because the developers were learning how to use the hardware more effectively. But eventually, you just have to upgrade things. You can't keep milking the same 5-year-old hardware, which is why we got the PlayStation 3 and the cycle continues. These are all computers at the end of the day. If you pry them open, you'll find specs. With game streaming, theoretically, you don't have to worry about buying any of this beefy, expensive hardware. All you need is an internet-capable device. Playing these massive, beautiful games requires tons of horsepower. They can't just run on anything. They need to run on some kind of supercomputer, so the image is streamed from more powerful hardware to you over the internet. All of this means you could technically get better graphics than on a console via this method. You don't have to buy the expensive technology. It's already all bought and being nursed by the company that's streaming it to you. And they can continue to upgrade and fix things as time goes on. You don't need to worry about installations, downloads, patches, these big-ass consoles taking up space. It's bringing gaming back to the idea that all you have to do is grab a controller and hit play, and the game just starts. It's very much like comparing watching a movie on Netflix to playing it on a DVD. Eventually, you have to upgrade to that Blu-ray player. With Netflix, you just find something you want, hit play, and it loads up through the internet, transmitting the video frame by frame. You don't have to wait to download the movie, thus having to free space on your hard drive. This is pure convenience. And it's so bad!
Game streaming or cloud gaming makes me sick, and if it doesn't make you sick, you're already sick. In reality, it's enticing. you're a sadist. And that
I don't
sadism
support
started in
cloud
2010. See, game streaming has been in the works for years,
I
but it
don't
officially
really
became a
support
full
cloud
retail
gaming.
product in 2010 with OnLive, a cloud gaming service hell-bent on going bankrupt 2 years later.
Let's test out OnLive. You know, maybe I'm giving cloud gaming a hard
OnLive?
time. Maybe you can win me over.
I don't think I've ever heard of OnLive.
With silence.
OnLive was the first big cloud gaming platform. The technology was a thing before. The company G Cluster debuted a game streaming technology at E3 2000. What the hell did that look like?
I never heard
It's
of
through
T
the
Cluster
net.
either.
But
Wow.
OnLive was the first major mainstream one. For only $15 a month, you could have the audacity to buy OnLive games. Yet to use the cloud gaming service, you had to pay a fee per month, and then also had to buy the games you wanted to play at full price separately. They quickly removed this fee because when you go bankrupt 2 years later, you gotta act fast. OnLive was available on computers, smart devices, and the OnLive microconsole, which I have here. God, it's so tiny, but it has some heft to it. Don't swallow.
Oh,
The official
wow.
OnLive controller is honestly one of the nicer controllers I've ever used.
controller's
And I
pretty
tried out
good.
OnLive back in the day. I played Saints Row the Third on my white 2010 MacBook. This is it now. So massive props for being the first major cloud gaming platform. Like for 2010, it worked pretty good. It also wasn't very good, but it was 2010, so it was pretty good. They
Yeah,
had
makes
lots
sense.
of big games on here. The
And that's
Batman
11
Arkham
years
series,
ago.
LA Noire, Just Cause 2, BioShock, Assassin's Creed. This wasn't just some oops I shit my pants at GDC and announced OnLive thing. This was a legitimate service, and from my experience using an underpowered computer on a Wi-Fi connection, it was fairly impressive. You still needed
Bet it
some
was.
horsepower to your devices if you wanted the best experience. If you were running this on a smartphone at the time, prepare for... The OnLive app was available on mobile, but really only Android. The iPhone and iPad had an OnLive Viewer app, which let you browse
Alright,
games
I'm
and watch
back.
others playing
Alright,
games
guys,
on
I'm back,
OnLive,
okay.
but you couldn't play the games on the device. It's the exact reason why I'm an Apple bitch today.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to
They
be
can do
overwhelmed with
anything.
options. I would say OnLive was ahead of its time. For the era in which it was released, I stand by it working quite well and having more than enough support
dropped my
behind it. In
microphone.
fact, I
You
think it was
dropped my
comparable to,
microphone.
and in some cases better than cloud gaming services we see today. But all employees at the company were laid off in 2012,
Yeah,
and while the
dropped
service
my
remained
microphone.
operational, by 2015 it ended with Sony acquiring most of OnLive's assets. You know, Sony also
Oh,
acquired the
so
cloud
yeah.
gaming company Gaikai. They offered demos of full console games streamed via web browsers. And after Sony bought them up in 2012, I think it's fair to expect they had something cooking.
I'm pleased to announce the new streaming game service, PlayStation.
Oh, yes, they use
God,
that.
it talks.
PlayStation Now. Now, Sony's answer to manslaughter. You know, PlayStation Now has been a thing ever since January 2014, and I think after I tried it out here, it finally reached a record 1 user.
never even
When
been
the service
to
initially
PlayStation
launched,
Now
it cost
before.
roughly 15 to 20 bones a month based on your subscription plan, and on top of that, you still had to pay for the games, and they were all just rentals. Oh, I'm not paying enough to be fucked. PlayStation Now is sort of Sony's way of getting around the lack of PlayStation 3 compatibility with the PlayStation 4, as PS3 games were and still are the main titles offered on the service. PlayStation Now is also available on other Sony devices like the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3, so I believe that's enough for it to be considered famine. Finally, I can play PS3 games on my PS3 for only $2! For 4 hours of playtime! Yes, PlayStation Now
Yeah.
was game streaming
Why
but
the
launched with a
rental?
rental model. The pricing varied amongst games. Some offered the 2 for 4 hour deal.
This is the best we can do. Okay, time is money.
Of course, you could opt for the 6 for 7 day option. I needed some good math today. 8 for 30 days or 15 for 90 days. For Uncharted 2, it would be cheaper to buy 7 copies of the disc. But that pricing
yeah,
wasn't
true.
even a standard. Some games were even more expensive, effectively doubling the usual prices. Why wasn't there an option to just buy the game? Why do this whole rental nonsense?
Yeah, it makes
Why
more
was it
sense.
so expensive? It was cheaper with OnLive. If anything, it would have made more sense if the small startup companies' prices were more expensive and the big conglomerate could cut a deal. What's the premium being paid for here? Like, what happens when I stream a game? PlayStation Now was initially a huge bust, but as the years went on, it took on a new life as a better service. For only $60 a year, you get access to all games on the service, no rentals, no need to purchase the games individually, one fee, you get everything. The service still focuses
Yeah.
on PlayStation 3 games, but there are a few PS2 and PS4 games available. With these, you can actually download to your
Eventually
system and play without
PS5
streaming.
games
It's a
will
really
be
great way to play games you're ashamed to outright purchase. I mean, half of the problems with playing Sonic Forces is owning it. But all of these games are available to stream. The PS3 games are only available to stream, so let's give that a try. Okay, pretty good. So here's the thing. My internet connection is okay. I think I'm officially the only person to not say it's either really good or really bad. It's like when the 3DS XL came out, every single review had to brag about how big their hands were. This system
yeah.
is so much better because I have really big hands. F*** me. But PlayStation Now streaming, it It works. It's not perfect. If you're actively looking for problems, you'll find them. Looking at the picture quality, you'll notice it's not as good as playing the game off the actual system. Frame drops, glitches, they happen. But a lot of the time, I sort of forget I'm streaming the game. You just get kind of sucked in and play the game because that's what you're doing. You're playing a video game. Of course, streaming introduces lag. You're receiving an internet signal, and then your controller has to send a command back to the console through Bluetooth, then through the internet, and then the internet has to respond to your input by displaying it within the game. And that's just hitting the jump button. There's gonna be some lag, but with most of the games available on here, you don't need pinpoint precision. Most. I'm a Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 nut. I know what I'm talking about here. This is an incredibly fast-paced game that needs split-second reactions, and when it gets towards the end of a run, I found it painfully difficult to make turns while streaming. Well, that's PlayStation Now. It can't play Pac-Man.
Nobody else with technology from 1840 can.
I think my biggest issue with PlayStation Now, though, is that it's still pretty clunky. Now it's described as games on demand.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, it's basically what it is. To be honest,
Give the man a second. It's not that bad, but PS4 games take a while to load. Playing a game boots you out of the PS Now app and it appears on your home screen like you bought it. In fact, for every single game I played, I get an email thanking me for my purchase. It thinks I purchased all of these games. They always say $0. Sony, give it up. I'm not replying. The game selection is quite good though. You get so many of the PS3's best and games from the PS4 that come in and out of being available. The service has definitely improved over time, but man, when streaming is supposed to be about convenience, PlayStation Now has too many quirks for it to be a legitimate part of the conversation. It doesn't work well for all types of games. It takes a while to load, and then when you're in the game itself, the quality is unpredictable. It depends on how your internet's feeling that day. The only reason why you'd prefer streaming compared to just downloading is to play these games on PC, where PlayStation Now is also available. Playing PS3 games, which I'll just throw it out there, if you want to play a lot of PS3 games, I might have found the perfect device. Or if you want to save hard drive space playing PS4 games, why waste 40 gigabytes downloading Neo when you can stream it? Because streaming's for bitches, alright? If you own any console from the past decade, you're pretty used to the idea of deleting files to make room for new games at this point. It doesn't matter anymore. Saving space? Yeah, that's a feature for most game consoles now.
Yep.
Or at least we have NVIDIA GeForce Now. Finally, a cloud gaming service with a name for the masses. My mom asked me how the latency was on this. This is an NVIDIA Shield TV. It's a tiny box you buy to watch Netflix. Now, why would you buy this tiny box compared to this tiny box? If you're one of those that refuse to buy anything with less than 3 gigs of RAM. No! Pretty solid user experience on this thing. I mean, its main purpose is to be used for Netflix and Hulu, but if you want to play games, there are some mobile games adapted for use with the TV. But there's GeForce Now games. Oh my god, look at all these things. These are some huge names. You know what? I'm going to try No Man's Sky, but first, I have to join GeForce Now and create an account. Alright, so I create an account off screen and log in here. Okay, I need a gamepad, and NVIDIA's fucking terrified of my internet connection, and I also have to perform a system update. No worries, no worries. Let's do that and try connecting an Xbox controller to the Shield TV for 35 minutes. Boom, found it. Can control the entire Shield TV with an Xbox controller. This is the happiest I've been in 35 minutes. Hey, let's try something like Fortnite. That game being streamable is a match made in heaven. It's incredibly popular, and having it streamed and playable on any device, that's a no-brainer. Let's try again. Let's try again harder. Okay, I might have been logged out after updating. Let me log back into my GeForce Now account. Back to the game selection. You know what? Rocket League. That's a fun game. I have my gamepad. I'm logged in. Let's do it. Okay, so all these games aren't available on GeForce Now like PlayStation Now. GeForce is allowing me to play my Steam library or Epic Games library or whatever on my Shield TV or other devices using cloud technology. So these are basically games on Steam that support GeForce Now. So you log into GeForce Now, then into your Steam account, and you can then stream games that you own on Steam that support GeForce Now. Okay, well for Rocket League, it looks like I need an Epic Games account. Thankfully, I can sign up via the Shield TV using my Xbox controller to control the mouse. I sign up for the account and get a verification code in my inbox. I try to enter it. The screen is frozen, so I try to sign up for an Epic Games account on my laptop. Add Rocket League to my library on my laptop, then sign into the account on the Shield TV to access it. I sign in, play Spot the Boat. And that's GeForce Now. Keep in mind, I use Apple products, so I'm a fucking idiot. Streaming is supposed to be easier than not streaming. I don't want to log into 7 different accounts to do any of this. And keep in mind, it's not just Steam and Epic Games titles. I mean, we have Origin, Uplay. I mean, I'll do anything Uplay does. But still, basically, GeForce Now is to play PC games via the cloud. They're not GeForce Now games, they're PC games using GeForce Now technology to be streamed. The point of having games like Fortnite or Rocket League on a streaming service is so then these free-to-play games are immediately accessible, which is what the developers want. They're free after all. Especially with this service being available on a set-top box, like people buying these types of products probably don't have a PlayStation or Xbox. Why would you buy this to stream Netflix if you already have those? So for people like them who aren't super hardcore, Why the hell would they do all of this? If they wanted to play Rocket League, just buy a damn Xbox. It's the same price. This is definitely more for a PC gamer. Somebody would like to play some of their library on a TV or a mobile device if they so please. But my God, for me, this is not worth the headache, and I did a lot of research on this. Well, here's hoping Google Stadia will save the day. So Google doesn't know anything about video games. This will be fun to watch. Though they do have some of the most advanced internet-based technologies or technologies in general out there. If anybody can make cloud gaming viable, it's them. Premier Edition. This includes the only two things you can use. What's an addition to Google Stadia about this? What could they possibly add or remove from this package to make it a different edition? Without the controller, it's just a Google Chromecast. Without the Chromecast, it's just the controller. The Google Stadia controller. See, there's almost never anything unique about controllers made by companies outside of the main ones. Like, let's take the Xbox and PlayStation controllers and mash them together. Whenever you see a company do this, be afraid. It's a fine controller. It's just, who gives a shit? A Google Chromecast Ultra is included, which is how we're playing this on a TV. They just have to plug it in here and watch it dangle. Setting up Stadia is pretty simple, and we're into the action pretty soon. We're pretty tethered to a smartphone app, though. You can't browse the games on the store or on the TV. We have to use the smartphone to look through games and add to our library. Oh man, it's just so much simpler this way. So streaming the games, it works quite well, in fact. Everything loads up quick enough, and while I'm in the game, things work pretty well. It's not always going to be flawless, but I do truly forget what I'm playing is through the internet, and it just feels like an actual game console. Hey, I played the Switch enough to not care about resolution as much as others, and the second Nomad, so I don't really care if it goes down to 1079p. What I do care about are the games playable. One thing I've noticed, if you want to get into cloud gaming, you better love Assassin's Creed. If you want to play Ubisoft games and very little else, sure, the selection just isn't varied enough. You did get a couple of big new releases, but it's never been enough to make Stadia your go-to platform. It can't be. There's barely any exclusives, and the ones they have, Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle? This kind of stuff gets me off and I don't care. You can sign up for a pro subscription. The basic service doesn't usually cost money, you just have to pay for the games. A pro subscription for $9.99 a month gets you the best quality streaming possible, exclusive discounts, and free games available, of which there's a decent enough selection to warrant jumping in on pro. So here's the thing about Google Stadia.
I'm out of fluids.
I think people give it a hard time because it's stupid, but it's not a bad product. It's just a horrible service. They gave up on it just about a year into its inception. The game lineup is pitiful and is pretty much the same as every other cloud gaming platform. Oh look, Assassin's Creed and Tomb Raider. We get it! Put other games on here, classic games, modern games, just something other than what Ubisoft is doing. Most of these are games from a couple of years ago and they just aren't exciting. But like if those games release on the Nintendo Switch or something, there's a reason why people want to play it there, because it'll be a new experience playing portably. It's just not the same on Stadia, but you can play it portably. You just need a specific type of phone with a great internet connection and a controller, preferably. Look at these two people. They're playing console games portably. Which one would you trust with your life? When you have to jump through so many hoops to do such a thing, the magic is lost. And Google has shown they don't understand video games. They may think they do, but at the end of the day, the tech industry and video game industry are much more different than these companies think. So bring in Amazon. They're just as bad as Google. They have a lot of money and nobody to love. Amazon Luna is their cloud gaming service. Remember when they were trying to break into gaming with their Fire TV set-top box and they made this whole ass controller for it? The only things available were mobile games blown up for the TV, so I think they know what they're doing here. You know, the selection here is quite a lot better than Google Stadia's. Having more than Assassin's Creed will do that to you. There's tons of variety, and the streaming quality is pretty much on par with Google's. Now, that variety comes at a cost. I think Amazon said, we need a baseball game. MLB The Show isn't returning our calls? Sure! But just the fact that for $5.99 a month compared to Stadia Pro's $9.99 a month, I get the best quality streaming and way more games for free. I mean, you can play all these instantly, no purchase, no adding them to your library with a smartphone. This is way more in line with what you think of when Netflix for games comes up. Except Netflix doesn't have a separate subscription for Ubisoft's games. I mean, this still isn't amazing, but I prefer what I'm seeing here to Google. But if you want an all-in-one experience, Xbox Cloud Gaming. Microsoft's chipped away at perfecting cloud gaming for years, and to have them integrate it with their huge library of games via their own IPs and Xbox Game Pass, this is insanely impressive.
And that's what a lot of these cloud gaming operations are. Impressive, but they just get enough wrong to make them f***ing putrid. So here's the thing, game streaming makes sense, and I think it's ridiculous to act like buying a game and immediately being able to play without a download isn't convenient and neat. But there's always so many things that just rub me the wrong way about this kind of stuff. First and foremost, it's longevity. I mean, look at OnLive, that thing is gone as f***. With not being able to download these games or just not having a physical option, when these services are down, they're down, and when they permanently go down, they're gone forever. Being able to play without downloading isn't nice, but if downloading is really that big of an issue for you and your download speeds are that bad, how do you have internet fast enough for game streaming? And the games are just never there. All of these services go after run-of-the-mill Ubisoft games, and like, I don't care! The benefits that come with cloud gaming often are outweighed by the negatives. It's unreliable, the game selection's not there, and if you think it doesn't feel like you own digital games, try streamed games. I feel like I'm at a demo kiosk playing these things. And I just feel like video games don't lend themselves as much to the streaming subscription model as much as movies and music do. With those, they're quicker experiences. You just want instant access to whatever, whenever. You're randomly like, let's watch a movie, or look up this song. Games are a huge commitment. They can be hundreds of hours long. You aren't really gonna sit down and play 20 games in a row. You're usually gonna pick one game to sit down and play, and that's your game for the weekend. So why does it matter that you can pull these games up fast like YouTube videos? Playing on your phone thing, it's just too clunky for me to really take it into consideration or take it seriously. You need to have a blazing fast internet connection on the go, and then preferably a controller and a phone mount. And at that point, just get a portable game console. Like, is lugging this around with your phone that much less convenient than lugging this around? Cloud gaming has taken the form of a bunch of tech companies that like to act like they know what they're doing with video games, pumping loads of money into this thing they'll abandon within 5 years. I'm open to an all-digital future. I mean, I prefer how things are now with physical games, but I'm not going to resist it. I've accepted that this is how the future is looking. And cloud gaming has a ton of potential as a supplement to regular gaming, because I will be damned if my next game console is a skin tag.
Alright, that's the end of that video. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. I will see you guys next time. Agent S out. Yeah, see you guys next time. Agent S out.